Hello, I'm Tim Langston with Red Dog Bushcraft, and today we're going to pressure can some venison. So stay with me and I'll show you the steps that I use to preserve my venison for table fare for all year long. Stay with me, I'll be right back. Tongue-tied today, again. Okay, so I've taken my hindquarters and I've chopped them up into pieces about 1 inch by 1 inch. You can see the size of that compared to my finger. And then I take those and I put my jars in the dishwasher and wash them, let them go through the complete cycle. And then I put the funnel on top and I pack the meat in until it's right at the base of the this last ring here. A couple of these actually have a little bit too much in them. I'll take a couple pieces out, but you want your level to be right at the bottom of where your ring sets. I put a little bit of salt in the top of each jar, and then I wipe the top of the jar with a clean paper towel, and then I have my lids sitting in a pan of hot water. Now all I did was I brought that water up to a boil and then cut it down to low and added a little bit of cool water. You don't want it to boil. I put my lids in there and we're just preheating those. Now in my pressure canner itself I have 2 quarts of water and about a tablespoon of white distilled vinegar. That keeps the inside of the canner from turning. And I put a plate in the bottom that is just like this one right here, and that keeps the jars from sitting on the bottom. Make sure you have it in there. And I'm going to put the first layer of pint-sized jars on the first plate in the bottom of the pressure cooker. Then I'm going to set this in there and put a second layer in, and then we'll put the top on. And there's little notches on the top of the pressure cooker and arrows that show you which side and how to lock it in. And then I'll come back to you as soon as I get it loaded. Okay, we're back and I'm going to show you. I'm going to try to do this without totally blocking your view. But I have my clean jar, and then I just take my cubed meat, and this is about 1 inch by 1 inch. They're not all the exact same. They're just cut up so that I can get them down in the jar. And I smash it down in there pretty good. There's going to be no juice or anything else added to this except what you see right here. It will make its own juice and it will fill up the head space. And what I'm doing is I'm filling it up and smashing it down as I go until I have filled the funnel to the taper point. And then I stop because there's a little bit of room here where you can't fill with meat because of where the funnel was setting, and that seems to be about right. And then I take a bamboo skewer and go around the outside edge of the jar and I give it one more little squish, and that's supposed to be the process of getting any air that's down in there trapped, of letting that get out. I don't really understand the concept of that, but that's the idea. And then I take a little bit of sea salt and I put a little bit on top, not a lot, like I said, about a teaspoon. And then I wipe the top of this rim just in case I got anything on there. We want to make sure we get that off. Do not skimp with your paper towels. Make sure you clean that real well. And then I go over to my lids, and they make this little magnet on a stick. And all I do is I pick up one of my lids out of the hot water and I set it down on top. And then a little trick I learned from YouTube was then you just take your ring and set right on top and tighten it down. And I do the thumb and 2 fingers as tight as I can get it and then leave it. I don't really over crank it. I just snug it down good, and that's it. Now I'm going to load the pressure cooker with these jars, all done the exact same way. Okay, so here's the first 2, 4, 6, 7 jars in the pressure canner. And then I take my next rack and drop in the bottom, and I put my next jars on top. Okay, now on my pressure canner, we have arrows here and here that you line up. Make sure that you've got the top on right. And then that allows you to close the canner. Now the process, I've got the oven turned on, or the stovetop turned on high. We're going to wait until we vent out of this, and then after we vent a couple of minutes, we'll put the weight on top, and I think I'm using a 12-pound, and I'll cut the heat down, and I want that weight to rattle about every 15 seconds or so. This is where you need to consult your own pressure canner book, or if you don't have that, look at the ball book, and it describes everything that you need to do for pressure canning anything that you want to can. It's a pretty good resource. And I'll show you the end product. Now at the end of the cooking time, I cook this for 90 minutes. Once steam starts and my weighted sensor is going, I cook it like that for 90 minutes, cut the stove off, and I just let it sit there and cool down until the pressure is completely off and I can take the lid off of the canner before I start my next batch. At that point, I'll show you the end product. Once again, consult your own manual or the blue ball book as far as instructions for whatever it is you're canning. Okay, first batch is done. Second one is being pressure cooked right now, and here's the final product. As you can see, it filled up with juice all the way up to right here. That's the top of the meat. You see a little bit of fat floating on top. That's just a little bit of that tallow that come out of that meat as it was cooked. When you get ready to prepare this and you open it up, you can just take a spoon and take that off if you don't want it in your meat. I usually do. I don't particularly care for it, but there's so little of it in there, it's not going to make a big difference to your final dish. Our favorite ways of using this is in stews and soups. Also, it makes a great taco mix, and just about anything you'd use ground beef for, you can use this. I'll hold that up where hopefully you can see. And that's all cooked. I mean, you could literally open it up and eat that right out of the jar. Okay, once again, thanks for joining me. I'm Tim Langston with Red Dog Bushcraft. God bless.